Welcome, everybody, to today's Town of Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. The date is the 25th of May. I want to say before we... Oh, we entered June already? Well, my mistake. Feels like May. How's that? Someplace. Anyway, it is June. I have to tell everybody that we're under the gun as far as time goes today. So if 5:30 rolls around, we're going to stop the hearing. The select board needs the room because they want to argue out with the select board from Harwich about money for the school system. Okay, so having said that, we have an important message from the governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, who is busy running for re-election, but in the meantime, she sent us a note. Ms. Fenwick will help us with this.
Thank you. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting including the use of AI note-taking apps, please notify the chair. Pursuant to Governor Healey's March 28, 2025 signing of Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law until June 30th, 2027, this meeting of the Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410. Conference ID 178-718-063 #, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams via the link provided in the agenda, posted in the agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, which is Xfinity Channel 1072, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. And in accordance with the town policy, the public can speak to any issue, hearing, or business item on the agenda during the meeting when you're recognized by the chair. So just go through a few procedural steps so everyone knows how we operate. We'll take a roll call of all board members. We ask if any citizens or non-board members participating in the call via the phone only for their name and the last 4 digits of their phone number for identification purposes. The hearing notice is read by Sarah B. Clark. She is our principal permitting officer. You or your representative presents your appeal or application. Anyone in favor of the appeal or application may speak 5 minutes is the time limit on that. The chair may read or summarize all letters received by the board. Anyone against the appeal or application may speak or ask a question. 5-minute time limit applies there as well. The applicant then may rebut testimony. Board members may direct questions to anyone present. The board hears any further information. The board closes the public hearing. The board will then deliberate, and then the board will vote on the application. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts requires a supermajority, which means that 4 out of 5 votes you need to be successful. And all votes will be taken by roll call. Voting today will be Dave Veach, Paul Semple, myself, Dave Nixon, and Lee Hovey. At the end of the meeting, we will close the meeting via a verbal confirmation and note the time of adjournment.
Thank you. So we need a vote to authorize this form of meeting.
David H. Veach, and I approve this form.
Ed Acton, I approve.
Paul C. Semple, I approve this form.
David S. Nixon, I approve.
Virginia Fenwick, I approve.
Stephen D. DeBoer, and I approve.
Lee Hovey, I approve.
Okay, first order of business is some minutes. Dave?
Yeah, so I will move approval of the minutes as presented for the minutes from May 28th, 2026.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we need a vote on that.
Veach votes yes.
I'm abstaining because I was not present.
Okay. Jenny?
Ginny votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Who was president that day?
We have
And voted?
Virginia,
Steve was
Steve,
Steve? Okay.
and Lee, and Ed.
All right?
In that case, I would vote to approve the minutes.
Oh, very good. Okay. All right. So, let's start with application 26-045, please, Sarah.
Application number 26-045, Timothy and Catherine White, care of William G. Litchfield Esquire, 330 Orleans Road, North Chatham, Mass. 02650. Owners of property located at 54 Roland Drive, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 13J, Block 19, Lot AR4. The applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a non-conforming accessory structure, garage, on a non-conforming lot via the demolition of the existing garage and the construction of a new garage with habitable space above. Also proposed is the demolition of existing retaining walls and the construction of new retaining walls. The existing garage is non-conforming in that it is located 11 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District. The proposed garage will be non-conforming in that it will be located 11 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing northerly retaining wall is non-conforming in that it is located 4 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District, and the existing southerly retaining wall is non-conforming in that it is located 13 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District. The proposed northerly retaining wall will be non-conforming in that it will be located 7 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District, and the proposed southerly retaining wall will be non-conforming in that it will be located 31 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 2,191 square feet, 12.5%, and the proposed building coverage is 2,360 square feet, 13.5%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 17,475 square feet of buildable upland where 20,000 square feet is required, and 20,975 square feet of land area where 40,000 square feet is required in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw.
Mr. Litchfield.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Bill Litchfield. Here with me today is our engineer, David Clark, and the builder, proposed builder, Peter Barnard, and with him, the applicants, Tim and Catherine White, and their daughter, Stacy. And that actually is sort of why we're here. The Whites have two other late teenage children. They have, they're fortunate in having two sets of grandparents, and they'd like to have a little bit more room for some family members. There is a 4-bedroom septic system here, and what we're proposing to do is to eliminate one of the bedrooms in the house. It's already been eliminated, and to replace the rather, I won't say run down, but imperfect garage with a more modern structure, one that is sited a little bit better, but which will have a living area upstairs and a 1-bedroom unit. No kitchen, no cooking facilities or anything like that. There was, as some of you with eagle eyes noted, an error on the plan because it was labeled kitchenette. At one point, we had had discussions with the Whites about their options, and I explained that having a second dwelling unit, unless it was an ADU, couldn't be done. So the kitchen, the stove, and so forth, there is no kitchen or stove, but the person who did the plans didn't change the label, so it says kitchenette, but there's no kitchen proposed. Recognizing that you have time constraints, what is proposed, as I said, is the reconstruction of the garage and also some relocation of retaining walls, which are within the Conservancy District, which is why David is here, in case you have any questions in that regard. The Whites have owned this house. They'd like to make it sort of a family location. They've already done some improvements for the neighborhood. No disrespect to Mr. Semple, but they purchased the house from a lawyer, and when an attorney leaves the neighborhood, that's already an improvement, is a general rule. So they'd like to continue the improvements, and I'll go into the criteria as to adequacy of site. Almost all the lots in the neighborhood are non-conforming. The house and the garage meet street and sideline requirements, but we're non-conforming as to the Coastal Conservancy District. We are compliant as to coverage at 12.5%, where 15% is the limit. If you approve the special permit, you can do so based on the finding that the site is adequate for replacing the garage with living area above. The garage will be slightly relocated, but will still meet abutter and street setbacks and will not get any closer to the Coastal Conservancy District. Coverage at 13.5% remains below the limit, and the relocation of the retaining walls addresses some topographic challenges that we have. As the compatibility of size, third page of the handout has some of the neighboring properties. We have a mid-sized lot, but there are no changes proposed to the house. The footprint of the garage increases by 169 square feet, but it's still well below the 15% limit, and it remains compatible as to gross floor area and living area. They increase, but again, not excessively. As to the extent of increase in nonconformity, Sarah read the several ways in which we are nonconforming. There is no increase in nonconformity. While we will still be within the Coastal Conservancy District setback, the rebuilt garage remains 11 feet from the top of the coastal bank. The rebuilt walls will be 3 feet on the north side and 18 feet on the south side, further from the Coastal Conservancy District rather than closer to it. As such, there is no increase in nonconformity and practically no real change. As to suitability of site, the site is suitable for the existing house and garage built well before the current Coastal Conservancy District setbacks. We've been in front of the conservation, we have been in front of conservation, we'll be going again. There have been some modest changes, not to the garage, but some modest changes in regard to the mitigation, which is going to be a part of the proposal when approved by the Conservation Commission. And the chair will read a letter stating that the commission has reviewed the plans and that project can be conditioned to meet both Wetland Protection Act and local bylaw standards. As to scale, citing mass views and vistas, the existing dwelling is a 1 3/4 story cape with a separate and somewhat oddly sited garage. It's without impact on views and vistas. I know that you went out on your site visits. You saw that on the north and the west, or east rather, sort of the forest primeval back there. It's very heavily vegetated and can't be seen. Again, the house is not proposed to be changed. The garage is going to be moved about 10 feet further from the street, not closer to it, but it will remain without impact on streetscape. There's no views or vistas involved. As to compatibility of use, there's no change, although what we are looking for, and the basic reason for the change, is to have a multi-generational family structure. With the exception of water and sewer that I'll get to, the other criteria are not at issue. We have town water. We have Title V for 4 bedrooms. Chair will read a comment from Judy Giorgio suggesting that the basement bedroom has to be eliminated and a casement opening installed. The bedroom's gone. The casement doorway has already been installed by Mr. Barnard, so the health agent has no concerns. I would relate for the senior members in terms of longevity of this board that, yes, I did speak to Don Freeman, and no, he has no problems because he lives, as you know, just down the street. So the question, given the time constraints under which you're operating, the question is whether the proposed new garage with a slightly larger footprint and living area above, 1 bedroom with no kitchen or stove, is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the current non-conforming structures on a non-conforming lot. The project, as I said, provides additional living space as well as privacy for a family consisting of 2 sets of grandparents, the parents, and 3 late-teen children. It's a simple and appropriate design with no increase in nonconformity. The other glitch in the plan is that I didn't ask him to take off the cupola, but that may not be an issue in this location. So in light of the criteria and the plans, particularly in this location, I think you can find the proposed change is not substantially more detrimental. We'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate you'd like to join the conversation. Don't see anyone, so I'll read the correspondence. First is from Judith Giorgio. She writes on June 23rd, this property is considered a 4-bedroom dwelling, including 1 basement bedroom. This proposed plan to remove the basement bedroom and relocate it to the new garage/apartment is acceptable at this time. The room in the basement must be refinished to include a 6-foot cased opening into the common area. The property will remain 4 bedrooms. Then we have a note. This is from the Conservation Commission in Chatham, June 4th. The applicant submitted a notice of intent. The project was heard by the Conservation Commission on May 13th. Project was continued to June 24th to make revisions requested by the commission. Project will then be scheduled for the issuance of an order of conditions when it will be conditioned to meet the performance standards under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Local Wetland Bylaw. That is the extent of the correspondence. Is there anyone here today on Microsoft Teams that wishes to either A, ask a question about this application, or B, speak against it? If so, please indicate now you want to join the conversation. Don't see anybody, so we will have questions from the board. Dave Each.
I have no questions, Dave.
Ed.
No questions.
Paul.
No questions.
Ginny.
I have a couple of questions, Mr. Litchfield, and maybe for Mr. Barnard. Let's see, so I did notice the kitchenette on the floor plan. And what is going in that space? I'm looking at the floor plans that, I guess it would be the one that's showing the second floor plan, and has what looks like it would have been the kitchenette, and it's just not, the room's not labeled. I just was curious to know what it is. I see the kitchenette's labeled on the other page, and it looks like, based on the windows, it correlates with that space.
Yeah, Peter, I don't know whether you want to come and join me in terms of the plan. There had been a proposed kitchenette. I think they had a sink and so forth. And they may still do a sink.
Yeah.
That by itself is not an issue. I think it's basically living space. I think we're talking, Peter, on this plan. If I could, Mr. Chairman, Peter Barnard, or.
Yes.
Hi, Peter Barnard.
Yes, Mark.
Where the kitchenette was, there was just going to be a sink there. There was never intentions to put a stove in. So that was it. We knew we didn't want to do an ADU, and we knew that we weren't going to be putting anything to cook with there. The plan I'm looking at right now in the living room area doesn't show that.
Right, the room to the left of it doesn't show what it is, and all the other rooms are labeled. That's why I was just curious about.
Oh, that's one big room where it says living room?
Oh, okay, the whole.
Yeah, those are,
space.
the line down the middle, that's just the dimensions of the room.
Okay.
So that's one large living area.
Okay. I know saw you at the site visit. The garage is going to be pushed back.
Yep.
And you're adding, some height to it, but it's still going to be subordinate to the house. The main house is quite a bit taller today. We have all these plans of the garage, but I don't see it in the context of the house, and that's fine. That's why I wanted to ask.
Height-wise? is
Yes,
that what you mean?
height-wise.
So the goal of the height of the elevation of the house relative to the garage was to have the living floor of the house, the main floor, the same elevation as the upstairs at the garage.
Okay,
So in terms of overall height, they're going to be very similar to each other.
okay,
The main floor of the garage, well, the garage itself is lower. The living space is the same height as the floor of the house, the main floor of the house.
The elevation, if I could, the elevation of the dwelling is 41.8. The elevation of the proposed garage is 39.4.
Okay.
So it'll still be more than 2 feet, 2.5 feet below.
okay, good, all right. Great, one more question. On the site plan, I read somewhere that the timber wall was going to be removed. You're replacing it with retaining walls. What's the material of the new retaining walls?
I think for that side of the house, we were talking about using timbers again.
Again, okay.
Yeah,
So you're replacing the old timber wall with the location of the new one and using timber.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Conservation may have requirements for, no preservatives, no this, and we'll obviously adhere to whatever they require in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Steve.
Couple minor issues. I didn't see, or it might be on there and I missed it, but an air conditioning unit for the garage? Is one planned?
Our exterior mechanical appliance system is proposed, i.e. generator, condenser, AC condenser. You got an AC condenser for a ductless mini split. That will have to be sited not closer than 25 feet from the lot line. Probably, I would assume, behind the garage.
Okay, I just want to make sure minor issues. There's a deck currently between the house and the garage. Is that going to remain? Is that, because that was kind of a unique
No,
structure? No.
it'll be removed.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Because I didn't see that on here either. And there's no changes being made to the house as part of this project?
No, there are considerable cosmetic changes,
Right,
as you
but
saw,
not
but
part
no
of this.
structural
Okay.
changes.
All right. Very good.
Aside from the elimination of the bedroom.
Yes, all right. All right, thank you very much.
Steve, Sarah has reminded me that has to be beyond the 50-foot of the Conservancy District. You know, when we're talking about the mechanicals. So that has to be.
I don't know, Mr. Chairman, whether the board would feel it within its ambit or purview to consider that today. If we need to come back for a modification to add it, we can do so.
Okay, come back. I don't think we want to consider it today because we don't know the answer.
That's fine.
Lee?
Just a quick question regarding the small balcony. I love the larger balcony in the front of the garage with all the sliders, but the small balcony on the side of the house, is that an exit or is that just a balcony? Like it's just a small little, I mean, it is going to be close.
Peter will respond. Talking about on the house side.
Between the proposed garage and the existing house structure, we were just proposing to put a small landing to come out onto, to meet code basically, to come out onto the landing, step down onto grade, then you'd have to walk across the grade to step back up into the house.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Any other questions that popped up? No? Okay.
Yes, I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Any vote?
Veach votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
Lee?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Ed, deliberations.
I think it addresses a need for the family, and I don't have any issues with it. The height is a little bit lower than the main house, so it is subordinate to the main property, and I think it'll be a nice addition, have some nice views, and I think it's a good project, and certainly don't think it's substantially detrimental to the neighborhood.
Paul?
I agree with that. It's certainly not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Ginny?
Not substantially more detrimental, and in fact, an improvement. I did watch the conservation hearing, and I understand you couldn't really even use the garage very well based on the way it was sited and the width of the driveway. So being able to use the garage for a purpose of a garage is a real plus. Also, there were improvements to the CCD, as you noted, Mr. Litchfield, in your narrative, that the retaining walls, which are necessary, will be rebuilt and moved farther away in both locations from the coastal bank, CCD. So not substantially more detrimental. I would support it.
Steve?
I think it's a good project. It benefits the family. It sounds like they have a need, and I don't believe it's detrimental to the neighborhood or any of its surroundings.
Lee?
I agree with my colleagues.
Dave Each?
I agree as well. So and so let me just ask Bill, as far as our standard conditions, have you discussed that with them? And-
Yeah, I would suspect, and this is just my opinion, I would suspect that the neighbors would probably please to have the entire project completed ASAP, because there's been construction going on.
Yeah.
There were no requests. I mean, the Whites have spoken to their neighbors. I'm not aware of anyone who would be concerned about summertime construction, so it might be better not to impose it for the sake of the neighborhood.
Okay, okay.
Dave, do you think we need a condition regarding the cooking aspect?
I don't think so. I mean, you know, at some point, I don't know, at some point it might qualify to become an ADU. And so and generally, I'm not as concerned about that kind of thing, given the housing issues that we have in town.
All right, well, and when we go through the plans after the meeting, we'll get out the red pen and put it through there, just so there's no.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, fine. So,
All right, so I will move approval of application number 26-045 with the condition all construction activity and vehicles be contained on site or to neighboring property with permission of the property owner. And, but also with timing, I guess, between June 30th and Labor Day, no work should be permitted on weekends or construction activity between 8 AM and 5 PM only.
okay.
I would suggest one more condition, and that would be that there be no illumination in the cupola, no lighting.
Oh, Paul.
So I would add that, and I would vote yes if that's added.
Jenny?
How do I feel about the cupola lighting?
Yeah, I mean, the conditions, and you can vote yes, no, or in between.
Oh, yeah, no, I think the conditions as read were fine.
And the one about the lit cupola?
I don't know. I like the cupola. I like it. I like the ability to have it lit, but I could go either way.
Maybe I misspoke. I'm not talking about eliminating the cupola. I'm talking about no illumination.
Right, no light in the cupola. I mean, some folks like to have it that way, and I would be okay with not restricting that if they wanted to have that. It's very private in the back. I don't think that we have the issue of like a really tight neighborhood, which is often why we don't like the illuminated cupolas. But there's very dense, no one behind them, and really no one in front of them. It's the water. So I don't require that.
Well, I have an illuminated cupola in my house, so I'm sort of partial to them, so they don't bother me.
How about the rest of it?
I'm fine with the rest.
Lee?
I vote yes.
No on the cupola, or yes?
It doesn't matter to me, either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I live next to a gentleman who turns his light on, and he likes to leave it on months at a time. And it's really annoying. So I would support what Paul said.
I live in a similar situation, and I think Paul's condition that he suggested was a wise one, and I will vote for that.
Okay. All right.
So I moved approval with those conditions and with adding the condition.
Right.
that
So we'll vote on that.
The cupola should not be illuminated.
Right.
Interior illumination.
So that's a yes?
And-
Okay.
All seconds the motion and votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. That's a unanimous decision. Thank you, Mr. Litchfield.
Thank you
And thank you, White family. Congratulations. Okay. At my funeral service, make sure there's no freaking cupola that shows up, all right?
They're gonna have a cupola on your casket.
That's it. All right.
Next.
Okay, yes, so we're going to switch the menu up a little bit. We're going to application 26-046, then 047, and 048. I think I'll have you read them all at one time. Can we do that? Okay.
You can. It'll be three separate votes and three
Oh,
separate
yeah, definitely.
presentations. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Application number 26-046, Chatham Max Holdings, care of William F. Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 104 Kroll Road, also shown in the Town of Chatham's Assessors Map 13F, Block 25, Lot 23. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family dwelling in a GB3 zone, which requires the grant of a special permit. The proposed lot coverage is 3,171 square feet, 19.3%, where 60% is the maximum allowed. The lot is conforming with 16,465 square feet, where 10,000 square feet is required in the GB3 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, and Sections 3C, 4C, 26, and 8D, 2B of the protective bylaw. Application number 26-047, Chatham Max Holdings, care of William F. Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633, owner of property located at 114 Krill Road, also shown on the town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 13F, Block 25, Lot 24. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family dwelling in a GB3 zone, which requires the grant of a special permit. The proposed lot coverage is 9,459 square feet, 46.1%, where 60% is the maximum allowed. The lot is conforming with 17,562 square feet, where 10,000 square feet is required in the GB3 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 9, and Sections 3C, 4C, 26, and 8D, 2B of the protective bylaw. And under application number 26-048, Chatham Max Holdings, care of William F. Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633, owner of property located at 124 Kroll Road, also shown in the town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 13F, Block 25, Lot 8. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family dwelling in a GB3 zone, which requires the grant of a special permit. The proposed lot coverage is 3,524 square feet, 19.2%, where 60% is the maximum allowed. The lot is conforming with 18,393 square feet, where 10,000 square feet is required in the GB3 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 9, and Sections 3C, 4C, 26, and 8D, 2B of the protective bylaw.
Mr. Riley?
So we're still going to do them one at a time, is that correct?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so this is a situation where this property was formerly the location where Roy Meservey had his accounting office and Robin Turner had his insurance office. After the insurance company left, the stockbroker moved in, and then poor Roy went to his eternal reward, and the stockbroker moved to Florida. So the family tried for over a year to re-let the property, and they couldn't find anybody, had no interest in people releasing the building. So they decided to sell the property. Mr. Rudnick and a partner of his decided to purchase the building. Their goal at that time was to create workforce housing. Unfortunately, the Chatham zoning bylaw imposes so many conditions for that kind of housing that it's not feasible to construct even on a lot this size. So so they decided to subdivide the property and put 3 single-family homes there. The design of those homes has already been submitted to the HBDC, and all those designs have been approved by the HBDC. The planning board did the subdivision, so the lots, each of the lots individually complies with all requirements of the current zoning bylaw. And all the buildings, proposed buildings, to be located will also comply in all respects with the Chatham zoning bylaw. So on lot 23, we believe the site, going through the criteria, site's adequate in terms of the size of the proposed use. The lot is 16,465 square feet, where 10,000 is the minimum. And in this zone, we don't deal with building coverage, we deal with site coverage. Site coverage allowed here is 60%. And our coverage, so site coverage includes driveways as well as buildings. So our coverage is 19.3% of the site. For those who are interested, the building coverage is actually 15.1% of the lot. The compatibility of the proposed size with neighboring properties. So the proposed building has a gross floor area of 5,692 square feet, of which 3,709 square feet are above ground. And we have an attached sheet that shows the gross floor areas of other structures in the neighborhood. But I think, we're very much compatible in size with all those structures. Question 3, extent of proposed increase in non-conforming nature of the structure or use. Although we require a special permit, the building and the lot are all 100% conforming with the current zoning bylaw. Suitability of the site, including but not limited to impact on neighboring properties or on the natural environment, including slopes, vegetation, wetlands, groundwater, water bodies, and stormwater runoff. You've been to the site. The site is very, very level, and so we're not concerned about runoff or wetlands or water bodies in the neighborhood. So we believe that the site is suitable for the construction involved. The impact of scale siding and mass on neighborhood visual character, including views, vistas, and streetscapes. As I indicated at the outset, we have the design of this building, because it's in a GB3 zone, has to be submitted to the HBDC, the Historic Business District Commission, and they have approved this design. We believe that it is compatible with other structures in the neighborhood, and we think that the views and vistas aren't affected. Streetscape is improved if you consider what the previous structure was in this location. And the design is, it's shingle design with traditional New England high-pitched roof. We believe it does fit very much into the neighborhood. Compatibility of the proposed use with neighboring uses. Now, there's correspondence from a neighbor who lives in the condominium over the Creative Arts Center that lamenting the change of the property from commercial to residential. And I think that is a misunderstanding of this particular GB3 zone. If you started at Main Street and walked along Crowell Road, the very first building on the left is a single-family home that was approved by this board about 2 months ago. Across the street from that, it used to be a pharmacy. Now it's a bike shop with an apartment over. The building next door to that, on the right, is a series of apartment buildings. On the left, it's a Munson Meeting, which is commercial spaces with residential spaces behind. Then you have McCarthy Zebret design in a single-family home that has been there for many years. And you have Pan d'Avignon, and then a funeral home, then a single-family home. Then you have the Kendrick Harvest subdivision. And if you go down, then you have a single-family home, then you have Ranches, the restaurant, and Eastwood Companies behind it. You have Finn's, you have Bobby Eldridge's house. And next to, and before Bobby Eldridge's house, you have 2 buildings, commercial use buildings, that have been for sale for at least 3 years, indicating the lack of interest in commercial spaces in this particular neighborhood. And then after Finn's, you have Neil Cole's optometrist's office, and then you have 2 single-family homes. And, once you leave then if you go back on the other side of the street after the apartments, You have Hydrangea Lane, which has 3 single-family homes that were, again, approved by this board. Then you have the dentist office. Then you have this space. Then you have the Drama Guild, the Creative Arts Center. She failed to mention my office building, which is the next building, and Chatham Boat Company. Then you have, the Anchorage and some of our affordable housing. And so what you really have is like a village street. So you can walk up and down. You want to go to lunch, you go to lunch. You're on the bus route. So it's a mix of business and commercial, and it always has been. I was before you some time ago dealing with a property at 400 Main Street where all the businesses in the neighborhood were up in arms about having that become a residential property. And this board agreed with the neighbors and would not approve a single-family residence in the middle of the commercial zone. This is a completely different situation. And I believe that, it's a mixed neighborhood, it's a village kind of thing, because you can walk around. And so I believe it's a completely appropriate use for this property, and I hope you agree. So we're compatible with neighboring uses, we believe. We're on the public sewer system and water system, and we don't think there's going to be any impact on traffic flow and safety or noise and litter. And that would be our presentation.
Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate you want to join the conversation. Don't see anybody. Read the correspondence. First, we have a note from Judith Giorgio. She's the health agent for the town of Chatham. June 23rd, I have no concerns regarding this proposal. A 3-bedroom dwelling is permitted on the 16,000 square foot lot in accordance with the Chatham water and sewer regulations. No more than 3 bedrooms are allowed. Now we have a note from the Historic Business District Commission on June 4th. On the May 12th, 2026, the HBDC met and rendered the following decision. The commission voted 5-0-0, approving the new construction and associated site improvements at 104 Crowell Road. That was signed by Chantel Kilkenny for the commission. They have a note. It's a letter from Elizabeth Bray, B-R-A-Y, 154 Crowell Road, Unit C. I urge you not to grant the special permit for building houses on 26, 46, and so forth, all 3 of these that are coming in front of us today. As an abutter at 154 Crowell Road, Unit C, I object to this change. Crowell Road has become a thriving center for businesses and nonprofit organizations that contribute significantly to Chatham's economy, culture, and community life. Existing organizations and businesses such as Wheelhouse, Pain on d'Avion, Chatham Drama Guild, Creative Center, branches, 3 Fins have helped create a vibrant and successful commercial corridor. Maintaining the commercial designation will preserve opportunities for new businesses and community organizations to locate and grow in the area. Once commercial property is lost to residential development, it's extremely difficult to replace. Please keep this lot zone for commercial use and support its continued role as an important business and community district. Thank you for your consideration. And that is the extent of the correspondence. So also was a bill but that was paid. Okay, is there anyone here today on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak either A, against, or B, has a specific question? The gentleman in the back.
Brian Phillips, 374 Orleans Road. First off, I think these houses are way too big for these lots. The second, I think they're totally inappropriate for this area. This is a commercial area. I mean, like we said, we got the bike shop, we got some workforce housing, there's that lot, there's the, the Creative Arts Center, we got boat yards. So it's totally an inappropriate spot. They're just going to be summer homes, they're just really not going to contribute too much to the community. We have a lot of summer homes already. And I think it sets a really bad precedent for this area, because now you're letting the market force kind of do whatever it's going to do. And then now you have, the boat yards in jeopardy of being bought up and developed into more houses, which we don't need. We need restaurants, we need boat yards, we need, things for people to do in businesses. So I hope you guys vote against this, because this is a big mistake. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here today or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak? Don't see anybody. Okay, we're going to have questions from the board. Mr. Riley has asked that if you have any concerns, to please bring it up in your question area, as opposed to waiting until deliberations. He doesn't like to be surprised, I guess. Paul?
Well, let me start with my overall question. A lot of the issues that you outlined with respect to the lots here and Crowell Road in this whole area seem to me to clearly support the concept of developing some affordable or attainable housing on this kind of a lot. It's on the bus route, it's a mixed neighborhood, there's walking to a lot of locations. Did your client give consideration to that idea?
Yes, they did, and I don't know if you've ever actually taken a look at the affordable housing sections of our zoning bylaw. They're completely onerous and appear to be designed to make sure that whoever's doing that housing can't possibly make any money. And so that's the reason why, after this was created, at the urging of, people who really aren't in favor of development or having low-income housing in Chatham, there hasn't been a single development trying to take advantage of that section of the bylaw. And so they did look at it. They also looked at it because it's in an SB zone, a GB zone, so dormitories are allowed. And so that was one of the things, that was the very first thing they considered. The difficulty is that our bylaw requires, I think, 3,000 square feet of area for every bed. And so what happens is you can't get the scale you need for the number of beds. I think there was maybe, we did the calculation, it was like 34 beds, Ronnie? 28 beds, which unfortunately, given the rents you can charge to workforce housing, is not enough to even take care of the cost of the land itself, let alone the cost of construction. I mean, so that on behalf of Mr. Rudnick, I represented him in Harwich developing the old Stonehorse property where they had
180 beds.
Yeah, 2 buildings, 90 beds in each building. And that is the kind of scale you need so that it makes economic sense to do that development. And until Chatham revises its bylaw to allow for that kind of construction or that scale of construction, there just isn't going to be any workforce housing. It'll be built in Harwich and they'll drive to Chatham, I guess, I don't know. But that's the difficulty we face. But we did explore it because that was the initial goal. So we did explore it.
We met with the building inspector. We tried to see any way.
Would you please identify yourself?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm Ron Rudnick.
Thank you.
We really want to build workforce housing. That's what I want to do, okay? And we bought this property to do workforce housing. That's the biggest need in this town right now, is to supply all our stores, all our restaurants, all the little guys, okay, with help. Be open 32 weeks a year and close it down. But we just can't do it. There's no place in the bylaw that we can do. And I sat with Jay, I sat with my attorneys, we just couldn't do it. So, and I'm not a big house builder, you know, you guys know what I build. I build mostly commercial, but the issue is that I wish I could build workforce housing, but I'm left with this. And we could have made 4 lots out of this property, making 10,000 square foot lots. Our lots are bigger than what Billy Marsh did next door to us and across. Ours are all 16 or 17,000 square foot lots, and we left it with just 3 lots instead of 4. We actually bought a piece of land next door to the
From the Drama Guild.
Drama Guild. They needed some money to repair the building, and we bought a piece of property and to add it to our property. I don't know what else I can say. Is, you know, this is the best use we could do with it right now.
Well, I appreciate that. One thing I'm trying to get through my mind here is that we've had a lot of applications for residential use in GB zones for various particular kinds of projects. And usually they're easier to get through some of the zoning aspect of things because you can have a larger coverage and you can deal with easier requirements with respect to some of the issues that you deal with. But I don't know that it's necessarily workforce housing that would be appropriate, but overall, we're trying to come to a solution which is appropriate for the town's overall plan in terms of housing and development in general. And I'm looking at I look at the Stepping Stones project, which has, I think, only 2 acres or so of land. They're looking at putting 12 to 14 units in there. I'm wondering whether it's possible to come up with a proposal that would financially work for you, perhaps with town assistance, that would put a smaller number of units
We met with-
appropriate at this location. That's my question.
Right, and so my first response is that the town is taking their own land, so there's no out-of-pocket costs attributable to that parcel. And then the density is greater than is allowed under the zoning bylaw. So, what was the purchase price?
1.3.
Yeah, so the purchase price here was $1.3 million. And, for the number of units you could build, it didn't make economic sense, unfortunately. But it was thoroughly explored. And, the property was available. I mean, theoretically, the town could have bought it. But, I don't know if the town would have paid $1.3 million for a piece of property where the density would be difficult. But
Okay, thank you.
Jenny?
Yeah, I kind of had some similar questions to Paul's, I guess. So the GB3 is 10,000 square foot lot, so, and you're building residential homes there. So to build a residential home in a normal, you would need to be in an R20, which would require 20,000 square feet. And you're proposing 3 houses under 20,000 square feet. Would it be kind of a option? I'm happy to hear Mr. Rudnick say that he actually explored the workforce housing option. Instead of 3 homes at 16.5, 17.5, 18.4, would 2 homes work in your?
could you speak more directly into the microphone, Ginny, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
I'm old and hard of hearing. Let me answer the question. So, Mr. Phillips has a valid concern in his statement. Oh, they're just summer homes. Well, actually, we don't think they are just summer homes. But if we just build 2 and we build them to what would be sort of the maximum size on an R20 lot, they would be summer homes. These properties at least have a chance of being used for local families to live in. And so that's kind of our goal.
Okay, thank you.
Steve?
Well, I share some similar thoughts as the previous two speakers, but the driveway, assuming since these houses all have Kroll Road addresses, that's just going to be a shared driveway for the three houses?
Well, it's actually constructed as a road, but yeah. Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
In other words, it's wider than a standard driveway, so there are 2 lanes.
Right. But it's not going to be a dedicated road?
No.
Not going to have a name?
No, because the addresses are all Kroll Road.
Right, okay. All right.
That was a requirement of the planning board, so.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Lee?
So I'll start off with a positive note. This is definitely one case where it was very valuable to go out and walk the lot and see the stakes. Mr. Eldridge Senior happened to be there, and he showed us exactly how large that piece of property actually is, which helped me, because when I would drive by, all I would see was the dirt area, the sandy area, and I thought, oh my gosh, 3 houses on that is going to be ridiculous. But the lot is a lot bigger than it seems from the road, which I think is helpful. My first gut too was just like Paul's, like, oh man, it would be great if we could have some smaller houses there that people could really afford. I mean, I don't know what the price tags on those are going to be, but if it's anything like some of the other houses that are being built, say on Barcliff or even on Kroll Road, the one most recently that went up, it's going to be expensive. So,
We can tell you that our pricing is different than Eastwood Company's pricing.
good to know. I don't have any questions per se, but those were my concerns.
Dave?
Yeah. I had a little time on my hands the other day, so I worked up a sheet of my own of some comparative stuff. I'll pass this around. Sorry I didn't get to this. And Bill, you can have a copy if you want. And I apologize, I just noticed my copier cut off some numbers, so some of the addresses don't appear as what they actually are. I took a look, because I had, my first look at it was, I've known about this in the proposal, and I've known that Mr. Rendick sought or wanted to do workforce housing or dormitories, and had discussions with the town, and, so what's on this list is essentially, to my knowledge, the properties on Kroll Road, the ones that I know about at least, that have obtained special permits for single-family dwellings from this board. And so I did that because my first look was, wow, geez, more kind of somewhat large houses. But when I look at the numbers here on footprints and gross floor area and lot areas and things, they appear to be very much in concert with the other previously approved single-family dwellings in that area. I share, along with others, I share the concerns about this is another place that could be a great opportunity for workforce housing, but I think the 3,000 square foot land area necessary for, is it per bed or bedroom? Sarah, do you know what?
It's per bed.
Per bed. And I understand that it makes it difficult or perhaps impossible to do. So here they have come to us with something that the bylaw does allow us to do. And I'm sorry to say that, I think we probably, in many respects, need to make other changes to the bylaw to help encourage and make workforce housing a greater possibility. But my understanding, I think, of if we had they gone ahead, here in this case, it would have required a variance from us. So I want to, I mean, I think I'm sorry that it looks to be another opportunity that won't be workforce housing. I don't know, but I don't think that what's being proposed here is really significantly different than a lot of what we've approved in the area, and including Hydrangea Lane, which we did, the old doctor's office there, and these properties are, this proposal very much in keeping with those. I think really there's work that needs to be done at different levels of the bylaw, and that's not really our job necessarily. It's our job to apply the one we have. So I think.
You could make your voice heard, of course.
Ed? Oh, are you done, Dave?
Well, if Ron wants to add something out.
Well, to move over back to the workforce housing, we had 400 people in between Howard and Chatham, dealing with all the stores or the restaurants, and it's still not enough. Our phones ring all day long trying to have people, J1s, HB2s, college kids, to have a place to sleep. The town of Chatham is very, very expensive for housing, and I'm going off track.
Well, we got a time constraint today.
I'm sorry.
In speaking with the town, or did you ever consider a 40B project? Or would you consider 40B projects, given watching what the other 40Bs are going through here? Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's, I don't have any really specific questions. I think you explained why you couldn't go this route or the other route or whatnot. I certainly feel the same way Paul does, that I'd want to see a different plan with maybe more houses, but smaller. And it,
Bigger than the other lots that are approved by.
no, I understand,
But Dave,
I'm just saying.
I understand. There could only be one more house. And it wouldn't be that much smaller.
I mean, when I look at these, I mean, you're talking about multi-million-dollar homes.
Not necessarily, although construction costs will
Yeah.
determine that. But you have to remember that, I mean, the cost of the land was $1.3 million. So even if you divide that by 4, you're still paying $300,000 for a vacant lot. So, with construction costs, it's just, they felt, Ron and his partner felt, that less density would be something that is more compatible in this neighborhood than, packing them in. It's all driven by the zoning bylaw, and the fact that the zoning bylaw has not had a significant rewrite, really, since Margot Fenn left town, 1985 or whenever that was. And even then, the conditions for hotel rooms, you need 3,500 square feet of area for every hotel room. There isn't a single hotel in this town that qualifies for an additional bedroom because of that. And so it's not only this section of the bylaw that hasn't changed, no section of the bylaw has changed. And society has changed, needs have changed, but the bylaw doesn't change. And so I think this is a reasonable use of the property. It's certainly not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than what was there before, an empty parking lot and an office building they couldn't rent. So.
Okay. All right, deliberations.
which, let me first move to close the hearing and move into deliberations. I don't think we've done that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, yeah,
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Beach votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. Deliberations, Steve.
All right, well, I guess my sentiments probably apply to all three lots, even though there's only one before us currently, but, this is the demise of more commercial space in our town, and we're trying to attract people to move here, but we're losing places for them to work. If you walk down Main Street right now, every store's got a help wanted sign in it. At some point, if all the commercial property goes away, there's going to be a lot of employees looking for employers because there's not going to be any
And,
place.
when they need workforce housing, which this isn't part of the problem.
I understand that. So, if there was an alternative considered, maybe a fourth house, a fourth smaller house. You mentioned that the three houses were probably going to be reachable for people to live there full-time, but two houses would not be, and there would probably be summer houses. If there were four houses, they might be even a little bit more reachable.
I know, but you're not designing the system. You have to vote on this. Is this proposal?
Please, please,
I
this is
understand.
deliberations.
I
We're not
understand.
in an argument, okay?
So, my thought, I think, would be if you would maybe consider an alternative use for this property. I probably wouldn't support this as it is right now.
Lee?
Well, I think these are very attractive houses. I just wish that they were a little smaller, but the lot is big. This particular house, I think it's the smallest of them all. They're attractive. They would not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I just wish they could be something else.
Dave Each?
Well, I think I tried to indicate how I felt about it. I share the concerns about not having, about the overall lack of affordable housing, et cetera, et cetera. But I think, in my view, this proposal, these proposals, the three of them, I don't find them to be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I think they are in keeping with and none of our decisions set a precedent on that, but I think that these are in keeping with the development or some of the development we've seen take place along that section of Kroll Road. Yeah, so I'm not going to do, I didn't feel that the kind of housing is proposed behind the Monomoy Theater property was appropriate for that location. But, single-family dwellings, of which these are smaller than some of those, I think, and in this location, I can see would be a fit. And so for those reasons, and I just think it's consistent with some of our past decisions that we've made in this area. So I could support them.
Ed?
I think the site, screams, a 40B development, but I understand why the applicant wouldn't go that route, given if he's watched any of the friendly 40B hearings in town. It's just, would be almost suicide. I don't feel the three houses is unreasonable. I would prefer to see four houses, but three houses is certainly not substantial to the neighborhood.
Paul?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Mr. Rednick and his ability to make a decision with respect to workforce housing. He's got a lot of experience, he's got a lot more knowledge about it than I do. And and I'm sure that the project that he undertakes will be a good project. I'm mindful of the fact that part of our criteria is that we have to find that the use involved will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the bylaw. And I'm wondering if that's the best use, given that it's in a business zone. And we've had a lot of people say business is not thriving, they don't want more business locations. I guess I would feel a little bit more comfortable in going ahead with this if we had some input from the town officials who deal with affordable housing, like Carolyn McClellan, someone along that line who could give us a reading as to whether there are other alternatives that we're not aware of yet in terms of funding that might provide for the ability to use the property for affordable or attainable housing, including maybe ownership straight out rather than a lease arrangement, so that that's available. So, as I say, something like Stepping Stones. Stepping Stones is about 2 acres. This is about 1 acre or so. Maybe a smaller project that will work. But I understand that Mr. Rudnick has a lot of experience in this business, and we obviously can't force him to do something, but I think I would feel better if I had a little bit more input from the town with respect to the issues involved.
Jenny?
Yeah, I want to just piggyback on what Paul just said. You know, the special permit is a use permit. The criteria is different. At issue is the future of Kroll Road. I do align with the lady that wrote the letter. I think this is a GB3. It's not a residential R20, and yet all these properties are single-family residential homes. I don't like that. I think it is substantially more detrimental because it's not commercial. I know there's no such thing as the precedent, and Dave Veach's list is very helpful. And actually, one of the things that I notice is that, let's see, Kendrick Harvest, 3 Kendrick Harvest, 6 Kendrick, those were 2026 properties and developments. The 3 Hydrangea Lane, where I think were 2018, all before the composition of most of us on the board. But more importantly, I think times change. And I think that what we are seeing today, what everyone has expressed, is some concern for just more residential homes of a large size at a high price point. And so for me, this fact that it's GB3 with 3 more residential homes is substantially more detrimental.
You know, we're talking about the whole project, and yet each of these applications is for a single home. It isn't for 3 or 2, it's 1. So I think it was clever, Mr. Riley and Mr. Rudnick, to do it this way, as opposed to having a project that is 3, 4, 5, whatever it might be. So in our decision process, when you look at it as 1 home, which is what they're asking for, it is very difficult to turn it down, or to say it's more detrimental. But the points, when you add them together, maybe they are. So it puts this board in a very difficult spot. Very difficult spot. And I don't know what the solution is. I'm not convinced homes of this nature are what should go there. I'm more convinced of what you were talking about, Paul, what Eddie, what you were talking about, too bad it isn't a 40B, well, it isn't. But it was purchased to make a profit, and great, that's good. But there's different kind of profits. And our responsibility is to the town, to the neighborhood, and I just can't see that putting and I have no idea about the specific price point, but let's just say it's a couple of $1 million or whatever it might be. Is that the right thing for this neighborhood? I don't think so. I just don't.
So, what would you like us to do, Bill? I can move,
We have a straw vote.
Eastwood Homes, 2 lots over built.
Excuse me. You wish for a straw vote, Mr. Riley? Is that what you said? Okay. Dave?
I would be in favor.
Ed?
I'm not voting.
I know, but it's a straw vote, so I want everybody to join in.
My vote doesn't count, but I would be in favor. My vote does not count, but I would be in favor.
Paul?
I guess my position would be I would prefer to have the applicant continue to allow us to get additional input from town officials, as I mentioned, housing people such as Carolyn Clellan, to give us that perspective and then go forward with it from that viewpoint. If there is no alternative that's available, then I might very well be in a position to say that I would approve it. But with some conditions, I mean, we have some talk about trees and so forth, all of which are important to this lot, and I'm sure you intend to maintain. But those are my thoughts. I would prefer to have a little bit more time to consider this, if possible.
So is that a yes or a no vote?
Yes, it was a
Yes?
yes or no vote. In other words, what I'm saying is that I could approve it if I had more information, but I'm reluctant to approve it without additional information.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm reluctant to approve it, so I would be a no.
Steve?
I would rather probably see some alternatives and maybe a little more effort into something other than single-family homes.
So is that a yes or a no?
It would be a no as this is
Okay.
presented.
Lee?
I'm leaning towards a no as well.
Yeah, and I think I would lean towards no also. There's your straw vote.
All right, so we'd ask for a continuance so we can consult with town staff.
Mr. Riley, would you like to continue all three, or would you like to present the other two applications?
No, let's just,
Why don't we just do one at a time?
we'll take the vote one at a time.
Yeah, we have to do that.
Can I talk to my client for a minute? I assume you have to take 3 votes, but yes, we'd ask for.
That is correct.
Yeah, we'll ask for a continuance for all three.
So as of right now, we have, I don't know how much time it will take to get the input that Paul is looking for. As of right now, I have 6 applications on July 23rd. Some of them are, we have 6 on that. Or I have currently 3, 4, 3 on August 13th. The 9th is completely booked.
I would think August 13th would be a much better date.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
All right?
So I will move to grant the request for continuance for applications 26-046, 26047, 26048, to be continued to August 13th, is that it? To August 13th, 2026.
Okay, I think we have to do them individually, Dave.
Okay, so we'll start with.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so first, so that would be with 26-046, continued to August 13th.
Okay.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Each
Okay.
votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay.
Veach votes yes.
All right.
Now, and next I would grant to the request for continuance for 26-047 to August 13th.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. And lastly?
And finally, application number 26-048, to grant the request for continuance to August 13th.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Ginny votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
And Veach votes yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Folks in the control booth, I think we'll take 5-minute break, please.
We'll go fast. Quick.
Welcome back, everybody. And I tried to pretend it was May, but it's still June, isn't it? Okay, so what am I thinking about it? It's May. So, Sarah, please read. Oh, boy. Let's start with 26-041 and 042 and 043. Yeah.
Let's just do
Yeah,
that one.
oh, yeah, okay. Let's do one at a time. 26-041.
Application number 26-041, Queen Anne Chatham LLC, care of James M. Norcross Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 70 Queen Anne Road, also shown in the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 13E, Block 15, Lot 14. The applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a nonconforming structure on a conforming lot via the construction of dormers on the inn. The existing structure is nonconforming and that it is located 20.7 feet from the road where a 40-foot setback is required and 23.5 feet from the southeasterly abutter where a 25-foot setback is required. The proposed dormers will not create any new nonconformities or intensify any existing nonconformities. The lot contains 62,512 square feet in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protected Bylaw.
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Norcross, welcome.
Thank you. Jamie Norcross representing the Hajar family. In the audience today is Chuck Hajar in the blue and his son Richard next to him. Online, participating remotely is Derek Rubinoff, the architect for the project, and Scott Farian, the engineer. In terms of how to proceed, I can go through, I guess, the project, and then we'll go into the special permit piece, and then
Correct.
we'll describe everything to start, and then we can go through.
Yeah, you can give sort of an overview, but then zero in on the first one.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So, some background, the Hajar family purchased the Queen Anne Inn this past November. As you've seen from your on-site, the buildings are in need of significant work as there's been a lot of deferred maintenance in the past. The Hajars have a great deal of experience in renovating and operating historic inn properties. They currently have several properties in Edgartown as well as several in Newport and have proven to be good stewards of these historic properties, which takes a certain person willing to take on the upgrades required with restoring a historic property and operating it like an inn. The family saw this inn as a chance to restore what is an iconic property in Chatham and to make significant renovations they believe will provide a better facility for guests and for the town. So just a little bit of history. The main building, which is the subject of the special permit, dates back to 1840 when it was a wedding present for the daughter of a ship captain named Norman Howes. It originally was the first parish house for the first Congregational Church as Captain Howes's daughter married the minister. Found that interesting. In 1874, it began operating as an inn, so about 150 years ago. It's been operational as an inn. The property consists of 3 buildings. There is a main inn that currently has 29 guest rooms, a 50-seat restaurant, and a manager's quarters in the basement. There is a separate guest house located behind the main building that currently houses 3 guest rooms, and a separate guest house that you see there in the back corner that currently houses 2 guest rooms. There is also an existing pool that you see in the back behind the main building on the property. So in terms of exterior changes, as part of this proposal, there are not extensive changes to the exterior of the building in terms of structural modifications. The proposal is to modify the existing front dormer of the main building, the side facing Queen Anne Road, construct a new side dormer on the south wing, and enlarge the existing rear dormer. These changes are not creating new guest rooms on the second floor, but are providing some additional headroom for guest rooms that currently have quite a low ceiling height. The Hajars will also be renovating the exterior with new siding, trim, and windows. These changes were reviewed quite favorably by the Historical Commission, whose only request was to consider natural materials and wood composite on the front facade and to replace the existing chimneys with faux chimneys, and the Hajars agreed to those requests, and we received unanimous approval from the Historical Commission. So with that, since we're focusing on the special permit, Derek, could you just provide a brief overview of the dormer changes, please?
Derek Rubinoff, Architecture, and with me is my colleague, Beck Noctigo. But what you're looking at here in the front, at the bottom of the screen, The original part of the house that I think goes back a couple hundred years is at the center there, and you can see there on the bottom left are the three existing. Well, it's really one sort of set of three smaller dormers linked together. As was mentioned, the ceiling heights in there is really low, and those dormers are in poor shape and falling apart. So our proposal is to replace the dormers in kind, except have them be just a little bit taller, so we get a code compliant headroom into that space. And so I don't think you would notice any real change for the outside, except you'll have dormers that look like they're not falling apart. They'll be in the character architecturally of the building as it is right now. And then let's see, yeah, right behind that area that we were looking at in the front, this is now the back that you're looking at. And you can see on the bottom left, there are that's really kind of two dormers almost next to each other as one gable goes into another there. And they're both very awkward. They're independent of each other. And what we'd like to do, again, having headroom issues in that area where it's awkwardly low and doesn't meet building code, we just like to not only just replace those dormers, but just unite them together with the replacement. So the middle image shows how they're being demolished, and the bottom right image shows the proposed replacement of the two smaller dormers with one slightly larger total united dormer that's in an L shape with a low slope roof. And then at the south end, this is a side facade. There's really an opportunity to have this existing portion of hotel room here have a really fantastic view toward the water here. So right now there's this kind of funny little mini dormer with a vent on a roof vent, which we would like to replace with a dormer similar in architectural character to the dormer in the center of the front that we were just discussing. This will be somewhat visible from the road, but there are trees blocking part of the view, so it's not going to be any kind of real noticeable change for people as they drive by or walk by the building. And like I said, our attempt here is to make it architecturally in character with the existing front dormer. This one, instead of having three little gables, this one has two, and the connecting element is a little longer. This is just what looks better proportionally, given that this overall dormer length is a little shorter than the one that we're rebuilding in the front.
Great. Thank you very much, Derek. Going through the criteria for the special permit, number one, adequacy of the size of the site in terms of size for the proposed use. We believe the size of the site is adequate. While we're non-conforming as to several setbacks, the building has been in existence and used as an inn for about 150 years. The proposed dormer changes are not increasing the height of nor changing the footprint of the building, and are being proposed to modify what are existing guest rooms as opposed to adding new guest rooms on the second floor. Compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. Obviously, the main inn building is a very large structure for Chatham, but while it is located in a residential zoning district, there are a number of larger non-residential structures in close proximity. The Unitarian Church across the street, the Village Market, and CBS as three examples. Extent of the proposed increase in nonconforming nature of the structure or use. There is no proposed increase in the nonconforming nature of the structure. Suitability of the site relative to impact on neighboring properties or natural environment. No negative impact from the dormer addition on neighboring properties or the environment. Impact of scale, setting, and mass. I'd suggest the proposed dormers will not have a negative impact on neighborhood visual characters. As Derek mentioned, they're designed to be compatible with the existing historic structure and are rather modest in size given the overall scale of the building. Compatibility of the proposed use with neighboring uses. This is a residential zoning district now, and it is a commercial use, but as I mentioned, there are a number of non-residential uses in the immediate neighborhood, And given the 150 years of use, I think one can safely determine that it has been and remains compatible. Number 7, methods of sewage disposal, source of water and drainage. The inn is connected to town water and sewer. Part of the proposal, which was reviewed by the Conservation Commission, is to install improved drainage systems on site, which really don't exist now, which will better contain runoff from the parking lot. No impact on traffic flow and safety from the dormers, no issues with noise and litter. We have adequate utilities and public services, and numbers 11 and 12 are not applicable. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions relative to the special permit.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone here today that would like, or on Microsoft Teams, would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, indicate you'd like to join the conversation. Gentleman in the back.
Ryan Phillips, 374 Orleans Road. I went to the historical meeting and saw these guys seem to be doing a pretty good job on this. So, you know, overall, I support it. But then I do have 2 questions. I want to go to.
Wait for question time. Okay. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'll read the correspondence. Planning Board, Town of Chatham, June 25th. The town planner was in attendance. Okay. There was a meeting on March 11th, 2026. The planning board will review a future site plan review application once submitted utilizing the planning board site plan review criteria set forth and so forth. The planning board review process, which also includes a request for comment, will include the ZBA decisions from the special permit review for the project as described by the hearing. This particular application, the applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a non-conforming hotel restaurant via a conforming lot via the removal of the restaurant. No, so I got the wrong one. Sorry, I got to go to 041. Yeah. The applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a non-conforming structure on a conforming lot via the construction of the dormers. The existing structure is non-conforming and that is located 20.7 feet, so on and so forth. The proposed dormers will not create any new non-conformities or intensify any existing non-conformities. The lot contains so many square feet and all that kind of stuff. The special permit applications for changes in use and existing nonconformities are not an issue for planning, but the site changes, so on and so forth, refer to that. The proposed project is also requesting waivers relating to parking space and all that, which would be granted by the planning board. Planning board will conduct a more thorough review of the project once the site plan review or site plan approval amendment/change or use application has been submitted. Thank you for your consideration. Then we have a note, this is from, on June 23rd, from Christina Bassett, and she's writing for the Historic Commission. Please find the approved motion below with extra conditions. They found the building to be historically significant, but did not impose a demolition delay because the applicant agreed to the below conditions. A motion was made by Mr. Laren, seconded by Ms. Hamilton, finding that the proposed changes will not materially diminish the historic significance of the main building, and therefore no demolition delay is imposed, provided that the applicant agrees to replace the existing front facade of the building with natural wood shingles, and in addition that the applicant would replace the existing 2 chimneys in the center of the main structure with faux chimneys that match the form and character of the existing. Ms. Barr offered an amendment to the motion to include the door surround being wood, seconded by several people. Let's see, the voting went 7 in favor, none against, none abstained. Then we have a note from Judith Giorgio, June 23rd. I have no concerns regarding the dormers on the property. And we have a Conservation Commission memo, June 4th. Applicant submitted a notice of intent on April 28, 2026. The project was heard by the Conservation Commission on May 13th and May 27th. Project was scheduled for July 8th The project will then be reviewed in an issue for an order of conditions when it will be conditioned to meet the performance standards under the wetlands protection in the town of Chatham local wetland. And that's the extent of the correspondence. Now, comments, questions?
All right, Brian Phillips, 374 Orleans Road. I guess my first one is, I know we got the cedar shingles on the front. Still seeing if you would consider using more wood instead of the plastic composite and cedar shingles on the back. Just a request. And then the other thing I would think would, I think would be kind of neat is to keep the fireplaces or redo them. I didn't win the select board seat this year, but I'm going to win it next year, and I'm going to crack down on short-term rentals. And it's going to make your hotel much more valuable and possibly a need for winter rentals. So I just think it'd be cool for people to stay here in the winter. We got a lot of cool things, Christmas stroll, stuff like that, where people might like to have, a fireplace. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else either here or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak either against this application or has a specific question? If so, please indicate you'd like to join the conversation. Don't see anybody. Okay. Questions? Lee?
I don't have any questions.
Dave?
I have no,
Ed?
No
Paul?
questions.
No questions.
Jenny?
We're just talking about the dormers here, not
Yeah,
the fire.
correct. That is correct.
Okay. We'll pick the fireplace back up next time.
Okay.
The dormer, the height of the dormer, it's staying in the roof line. It's not increasing the ridge at all. It's 11 inches taller of a window. Is that right?
Correct, it's staying below the existing ridge.
Yeah. And the increase, though, to the dormer, which is what's proposed, is 11 inches larger.
Derek, could you answer that question, please?
Yes, it's approximately 11 inches.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all I have for this
Steve?
one.
I have no further questions.
Okay.
I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Beach votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. Okay, deliberations. Dave?
Well, this part is very easy to support. Nice work. It's going to look great. It's really an improvement of the dormers in the back and on the side. And when they're finished in the front, you'll hardly notice any difference whatsoever. So there's no substantial detriment here, and I will support it.
Ed?
I agree with Dave.
Paul?
I also agree.
Jenny?
I want to say thank you for stepping in to help save the inn. I want to start with that. Very important historic property in the town. I think that the proposed dormer change is perfectly fine, so I would support it.
Paul? All right, Paul. Steve?
No, I think this is fine. I don't believe it's detrimental to the building or to the neighborhood or anything around it, so I think it's a good project.
Lee?
I think it's an improvement, so I will support it.
I do too. Okay. Vote?
So I will move approval of application number 26-041 with our standard conditions, being that all construction activity and vehicles shall be contained on site or at a neighboring property with the permission of the property owner. Between June 30th and Labor Day, no exterior construction will be allowed. No work shall be permitted on the weekends. Construction activity between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. only.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Beach votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. That's a unanimous decision. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Okay, Sarah, we go on to 042, please.
Did you want to do 42 and 43 together?
I
'Cause
think
they're
that's a good
tied
idea.
together?
Yes, I do. Jamie, is that all right with you? We do them together? Yeah?
Sure.
Yep, okay.
Application number 26-042, Queen Anne Chatham LLC, care of James M. Norcross Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 70 Queen Anne Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 13E, Block 15, Lot 14. The applicant seeks dimensional variances from the buildable upland area requirements for 5 additional rental units and 2 additional staff/managers apartments. Dimensional variance is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 10, and Section 8D2C of the Protective Bylaw. Under application number 26-43, the applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a non-conforming hotel restaurant on a conforming lot via the removal of the restaurant to allow for the renovation of the inn to create 5 additional rental units and renovation of guest house number 1 to allow for 2 additional staff/manager apartments. The existing inn is non-conforming and it is located 20.7 feet from the road where a 40-foot setback is required, 23.5 feet from the southeasterly abutter where a 25-foot setback is required. Guest house number 1 is non-conforming and it is located 14.2 feet from the southwesterly abutter where a 25-foot setback is required. The structure contains 34 rental units plus staff/manager apartment on a lot containing 57,848 square feet of buildable upland, where 112,000 square feet is required. The proposed 5 rental units and 2 manager/staff apartments require an additional 35,000 square feet of buildable upland area. The building coverage will remain non-conforming at 8,891 square feet, 15.4%, where 10% is the maximum allowed. The lot contains 65,512 square feet in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw.
Good afternoon again, Jamie Norcross on behalf of the Hajar family. Since we're in a time crunch, we can just take the same vote again if you'd like. Not so lucky, I know. Okay, so unlike the exterior, there are some significant changes happening on the interior of the building. The applicant will be installing a sprinkler system for the building where none currently exist, which is a significant safety measure for guests, especially in this type of building. They will also be doing a number of upgrades to improve accessibility for the interior of the building and to better comply with accessibility requirements, including widening existing guest rooms where feasible, to improve clearances and upgrading the hotel common spaces on the first floor so as to meet the accessibility code. So my client had to go to the Architectural Access Board to present a lot of these changes and received approvals for the work that they're doing to really bring the property into compliance with the requirements of the AAB, including some exterior changes with ramps and whatnot up to the main entrance to the inn. So all that is a real great improvement to the property, I think. All existing guest rooms will also be renovated, updated, as the condition of these rooms are similar to the exterior, are also in need of significant improvement. From a zoning perspective, the Hajars propose to remove the existing restaurant use from the inn. Currently, there is a 50-seat restaurant that's part of the property along with the end use of the building. That space is proposed to be renovated to incorporate 2 new guest rooms on the main floor of the inn. This is an important change for the property as it creates 2 truly accessible guest rooms at the property where none currently exist. They will retain a much smaller kitchen and dining area that will be used for inn guests only for breakfast service and a common area. So again, there'll be a small kitchen and an area there for a continental breakfast, a common area, but no one outside the inn would be dining. It's just for inn guests. In the basement area, the applicant proposes renovating existing office and common area space into 3 new guest rooms. As mentioned, the proposed dormers, well, we don't need to talk about the dormers because we're okay there. So moving on to the guest house located behind the main building, that structure currently contains 3 guest rooms on the main floor in an unfinished basement. The proposal is to convert the existing unfinished basement into employee housing, which was obviously a topic earlier, with a manager's quarters and living accommodation for other employees. The intent and goal for my client is to allow for the employees running the inn to be able to live and work on site, removing the need to find housing for these folks, which again, as you talked about earlier, as everyone knows, is a real challenge in our area, as well as removing the need for them to have transportation to get to and from work. So they'd be living on site and working on site. In terms of zoning aspects, as you heard in the legal ad, this property has a number of pre-existing nonconformities with respect to setbacks, building coverage, and building height. We are not expanding on any of these nonconformities. We are also pre-existing nonconforming with respect to the number of guest rooms allowed per square foot lot area required by our bylaw. Unfortunately, the size of our lot cannot get any larger, and so we are increasing that existing nonconformity. In terms of proceeding, it probably makes more sense to go through the variance first,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman. Okay. So as we've mentioned, this project requires variance relief from the zoning board due to the proposed addition of 5 new guest rooms within the main inn building and the proposed manager and employee housing within the basement area of the rear guest house. Under Section 7 of your zoning bylaw, 3,000 square feet of buildable upland is required for every guest room, and I believe it's 10,000 square feet of buildable upland for a staff apartment. We obviously fall short of that upland requirement. We currently are short, and we remain short with the additional guest rooms. Therefore, under the current interpretation of the zoning bylaw, as I understand it, such a change requires approval in the form of a variance. So, as you've heard before, it's a 3-part criteria for a variance. The first, owing to circumstances relating to soil condition, shape, or topography of such land, structure, or building. A literal enforcement of the provisions of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner. And third, that desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of the zoning bylaw. So running through that criteria in that order. Number 1, unique conditions. I'd suggest in this instance there are unique factors impacting both the lot and the building. With respect to the lot, the shape is unique as it narrows significantly, on the Oyster Pond Furlong side. The lot also sits on the corner of Queen Anne Road and Oyster Pond Furlong, both of which are public roads. Given that the structure has been in existence since 1840, it's quite likely that the lot size was reduced and altered over the years when road takings were done to establish the layouts for these roads. The exterior of the building, it is somewhat unique in terms of it does significantly narrow on the east side of the property, and under the current zoning bylaw interpretation, no exterior additions would be allowed without receiving a variance. Perhaps not specifically relating to shape, the building itself, I would suggest, is quite unique. It's both an inn and a restaurant located within a residential zoning district. The restaurant use is also pre-existing non-conforming, a 50-seat restaurant, and it's a use that Hajars do not wish to continue at this property. Therefore, they're faced with a situation where they have a structure with an expansive kitchen and dining area and very few options available to them in terms of repurposing this space in a fashion that makes sense for the inn. I'd suggest the best and most effective course is what's proposed, conversion of this area into additional guest rooms. Number 2, a literal enforcement of the bylaw would create a substantial hardship, financial or otherwise. With respect to the proposed guest room, this proposal allows them to repurpose the restaurant and kitchen space into 2 new handicap-accessible guest rooms. These rooms are important as it provides necessary accommodation for handicapped guests and allows them to better comply with the accessibility requirements of the Commonwealth. Renovating existing guest rooms so as to comply with accessibility requirements is a significant challenge given the size and dimensions of these rooms that likely require taking down load-bearing walls and other extensive work. The inability to use the restaurant space for additional guest rooms leaves the applicant with a situation where they will have a large section of the building that provides no benefit to the guests of the inn, which is a significant hardship to them. Lastly, there is a financial component. Taking aside the additional rooms, the renovations being undertaken by the Hajars will be significant and costly. It's a very old building in need of quite a bit of work, and the work necessary to bring it back to what everyone wants to see is quite expensive. Along with renovating the rooms in areas that have fallen into disrepair, they are also undertaking improvements, as I mentioned, such as the sprinkler system, which, while not required, is an improvement that the applicant believes is extremely important for the safety of their guests. The ability to create 5 additional guest rooms and allows the Hajars to offset some of these significant costs. With respect to the employee housing, literal enforcement of the bylaw will result in the applicant being forced to find alternative housing for their employees, which results in a hardship for really both them and their employees. It's also a hardship as it makes finding employees more difficult, as job options are often more attractive to many candidates if housing is provided by the employer. A lot of their employees would be J1 employees and college students, and for them, if living accommodations are offered, it really becomes a much more attractive positions because accommodations are offered by a lot of the other hotel inns larger hotel inns in the area, so it makes it difficult to compete for employees. Number three, the variance granted will not substantially harm the public good or derogate from the purpose of the bylaw. So we're dealing with a section of the bylaw that I don't know exactly when it was adopted, but it created the requirement for a certain amount of upland per square feet for each room, 3,000 square feet. So it's hard to envision when that section of the bylaw was enacted that voters intended that a business such as the Queen Anne Inn could not add an additional room or expand in any fashion without receiving a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Nor was it likely the voters foresaw the issues with employee housing that have become such a difficult solution for many businesses in town, of which I know you are very familiar. If the goal of the minimum upland square footage requirement is to limit density, then I do not believe this proposal is harming the purpose of the bylaw. There is no exterior changes needed to create these additional rooms. They're all interior and is within the existing building, and it is important to factor into the equation that the Hajars are removing existing restaurant use. So while I will be increasing the number of guest rooms, overall they are greatly reducing the impact and use of the property that was brought on by a 50-seat restaurant. So again, it's not a situation where they're just adding more rooms to everything that's there now. It's a big change by taking away the restaurant, and while there are 5 guest rooms, removing a 50-seat restaurant, I would suggest, results in an impact that's much less to the property overall. And then finally, I don't think in any form or fashion this proposal harms the public good, as it's providing an updated facility for guests in Chatham while reinvigorating what has become a structure largely in disrepair. So just quickly to conclude, I think the Hajars, I think the town was fortunate to find that they came forward as buyers for this property. I think they're going to be very good stewards for this and really bring it back to life for a iconic structure that's fallen into a state of poor condition. And again, I know you've had a somewhat recent application with a similar request, but I think there are some distinctions here that are important to note. Most noteworthy, again, we're removing a restaurant, a 50-seat restaurant. It's not a situation where it's an existing building, existing restaurant. We're just adding more rooms. We're taking something very significant away in order to put in those rooms. So I think that should be a factor for your consideration. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate you'd like to speak. Don't see anyone? I'll read the correspondence. This is for 043.
So because we read both of them, the only letter that the Board of Health letter is the same, the conservation letter is the same in both files. Planning doesn't comment on variance applications. So theirs is only for the special permit application, and it just says that they need site plan approval.
Okay.
But these are, the conservation and health do need to be read.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, on June 25th, this is the planning board. The town planner was in attendance and this goes back to the March 11th, 2026 meeting. And that specific in here about 043 is the applicant proposes to change, alter, and all that sort of thing. Existing inn is non-conforming, and that's so and so many feet and all that. Structures contain 34 rental units plus staff manager and all that. On 57,848 square feet of buildable upland, where 112,000 square feet is required. The proposed 5 rental units and 2 staff require an additional 35,000 square feet of buildable upland. Building coverage will remain non-conforming at 8,891 square feet, and that's 15.4%, where 10% is the max allowed. So just, I'll do this again. What is required today is 112,000 square feet. They've got 57,000, and the proposed addition adds another 35,000 to that. So if you add all that up, it's essentially 89,000 square feet more. You agree, Mr. Norcross?
That we are 89,000 square feet shy of the requirement.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I would
Thank
agree
you.
with that. Yep.
Okay. And I should mention, as far as spaces for automobiles, there's 31 now?
There's 26 now, I believe. There'd be 31.
Okay.
Yep.
And needed is 54.
Well, I had it at 49.
Well,
I would point out the existing with the restaurant use requires 59. So there
Well,
is actually.
it's not there. I'm just
there
saying, these are the asks that you're involved in.
Yes. Yep.
So it's 89,000 square feet and essentially 23 more spaces of parking.
23.
That came from Sarah.
The dwelling units, each dwelling unit requires 2 spaces. So if you have 3 staff quarters or 3
Okay.
staff apartments, it would be 6 additional
Well,
spaces.
I can tell you from a practical application, folks staying there are not going to have cars. That's why they're staying there, so they have a place to live without a car. So that's how employee housing hopefully would work in a.
Okay, so
This
on to the correspondence. Judith Giorgio, health agent, writes on the 23rd of June, proposed applications for the Queen Anne Inn appear to increase the sewer flow associated with the property. As such, approval from the sewer commission will be required. In addition, the proposed renovations to the kitchen and dining areas will require review and approval by the health division. Detailed kitchen floor plans and related construction documents must be submitted as part of that review. Furthermore, any modifications to the pool enclosures will require approval from the health division to ensure compliance with the applicable provisions of the state sanitary code governing swimming pools. Note from the Conservation Commission on June 4th. Applicant submitted a notice of intent on April 28th. Project was heard on the 13th of May and May 27th. Project was scheduled for July 8th. Project will then be reviewed and an issue, hopefully, an order of conditions will be conditioned to meet the performance standards under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Local Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 272. And that essentially is the correspondence. Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak against this application or has a specific question? Gentleman in the back.
Brian Phillips, 374 Orleans Road. So I guess my first question, if we could keep the fireplaces, maybe keep them real, because it's very old school New England. It's cool. You know, people from out of town, they come here like, oh, this fireplace, cool. And then the second one is if we could use, you know, more cedar shingles and more wood, you know, instead of the plastic composite. And this is a much more difficult application than I originally thought, because the restaurant, you know, tavern is also like really cool, old school New England. But what they're saying kind of does make sense in some reason, so this is all you guys. Good luck. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Microsoft Teams, no? Okay. Questions from the board?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, if I just, one comment on the planning board.
Sure.
Just to explain that. We are aware it would require site plan review, and meeting with town staff, originally it was suggested to come here first since we are seeking it, the dreaded variance, so that we would go to zoning prior to the planning board.
Okay, all right. So, questions from the board. Let's start with Dave.
I think my understanding is clear. So the variance is needed because they're seeking to have more rooms without the required additional upland. And that applies to both the guest rooms, rental rooms, and to the employee quarters. That's correct.
Correct.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions regarding this issue now.
Okay, Ed.
I guess my question is, when the applicant bought the property, there was a certain number of units. There wasn't anything before the board at that time or anything that had been suggested to the applicant that there was a way to get more units without a variance, or?
No,
this
they were,
is-
yeah, they were aware that zoning approval was going to be required
Right.
for any additional units
Yeah.
at that time. Yep.
Okay, no more questions.
Paul,
I have no questions.
Jenny?
I have a few for you, Jamie. Let's see. Can I just start? I want to start with the historic. I did look at that hearing, and at the beginning of your update, I think you said that the owners had agreed to put real wood cedar shingles across the front
Correct.
and wooden real wood surround around the door.
Right.
And then the chimneys, can you just refresh my memory? Was agreed to that they would be replacing those, not removing those?
Correct. They'd be replacing them with,
with
they would not
faux,
be
not-
operational, but they would.
Not operational?
Yep, but the look would remain the same or similar.
Okay. There was discussion about the railing, the accessible railing. Was that just a composite, like a solid composite, not a plastic? Was that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
And then the other one was, there was discussion about shutters. Did that land anywhere? Do you remember? Mrs. Tennyson brought that up. I don't,
Recall.
okay. I don't think there was a
It wasn't
discussion
listed
about
in,
that.
I reviewed their decision again. I didn't go back and watch the hearing, and it wasn't
I only bring it
listed.
up because at the beginning, I think you only mentioned the wood cedar shingles, and I just wanted to make kind of,
Yeah, no, whatever they agreed to. I
Yeah.
know Chuck was present at the hearing remotely and then hopped on and said he would agree to the request that they made, so.
okay. All right, so one of the questions I have is, I want to go back to have you restate your reasons for the criteria in a second. But one of my questions is, what have really been the problems with being 54,000 square feet short, which you are today, for 150 years of operating this as an inn? Like, any real problems that we've had being so short already?
None that we're aware of.
Okay.
That doesn't include the square footage number, doesn't include the fact that is also a 50-seat restaurant, so.
Right, right. So I just wanted to see if there was any awareness of any problems being that short, which then could arguably lead to, more problems being additionally short, but no problems that you're aware of. And then the reconfigurations that you're proposing. So right now, 34 rental rooms today, 2 of which are ADA. You're proposing the 2 ADA today?
34 currently. We're proposing a total of 39, 2 ADA units on the first floor and then the 3 basement units.
Okay, and then the additional staff, you have 1 staff apartment today and adding
Correct.
2 more? Okay, which I think that the town really needs. Can you go back to your criteria, just repeat for me, number 1, you were talking about the shape being owing to circumstances of the shape. I just want to hear you say that again,
Sure.
and the structure.
Oh, the structure. Well, I mean, the structure itself, it's not your traditional rectangle or square. It is quite a bit more narrower on the, I believe it's the east side of the property. It narrows a bit as it goes up Queen Anne Road, as you can get a flavor for here. And then, I guess not so much shape, but I discussed the fact of the existence of the structure and the current uses within a residential zoning district make it quite unique when you have guest rooms and an inn within a residential zoning district, neither of which are conforming, and you can remove a restaurant, but you can't put any more guest rooms back without a variance.
Okay, so I was wondering if the part not affecting generally the zoning district in which it's located is, I mean, the way I was kind of reading that is that, it's been in existence for 150 years, operating within no zoning initially, and then changes to zoning, and not impacting the operation of that building for throughout all those years and all those changes. That's what the way I was interpreting. Is that not?
No, I would say that's correct. Yeah, I mean, it has been 150 years, and I'm not sure how long the restaurant's been there. The inn's been there for 150 years, but the residential zoning came in long after the inn was in existence, and that's now its zoning district. But it's been operational with no issues and
Yeah.
certainly compatible despite the fact that it's in a residential zoning district.
Well, and you bring up a good point about the kitchen. So it didn't originally have a kitchen, and now you're going back to what originally it was with no kitchen.
Correct. It's going to have a small kitchen, just,
Right.
but,
No real cooking, though. I mean,
right, the
from what-
50-seat restaurant is going away.
Right, okay. And then, can you just go through criteria 3?
Sure.
Desirable relief, just explain again why.
Substantially, will not substantially harm the public good or derogate from the bylaw. Is that the criteria, Jay? Sure. So I was suggesting relative to the public good, again, I don't think there's any suggestion this is going to be a derogate from the public good. I think it's really a benefit for the public in all forms and fashions. And it's really the best use of the property going forward, and a use that's actually going to, despite additional rooms, is going to have less of an impact than the current use on the property. As it relates to the purpose of the bylaw, again, I'm not sure why the town decided to put a upland square footage requirement per unit into the bylaw. Perhaps it was to avoid a 3,000 square foot per unit requirement into the bylaw. Perhaps it was to limit new inns or hotels coming in, or to exclude them. But again, if it was to limit density, then I think, despite the fact we're adding guest rooms, we are limiting density by removing a restaurant, which has cars coming and going. It has additional restaurant employees, which would be far more significant from a density impact or an impact to the neighborhood than what we're proposing today.
Okay, last question, the parking. Currently, I understand that, there's insufficient parking, and at times, or I think on a regular basis, the current or the previous owner would acquire parking from across the street. Is that the proposal for addressing the parking?
It's at least a partial solution. The Hajars have spoken with the owner across the street, and he's willing to continue that relationship moving forward to allow for parking of some vehicles on his property.
Like in a year-by-year basis or a more contractual basis?
It hasn't made its way to a contractual basis. I'm not sure he's a contract type of guy, the neighbor, but
Well, the parking.
more of a handshake. But he did it for many years with the Weinkaufs to allow some parking across the street.
Okay. The parking does concern me a little bit because, can you just explain again what you think you're gaining by removing the restaurant from a parking perspective?
Well, that's a 50-seat restaurant going by the bylaw, 4 seats per table. So you got basically 12 and a half parking spots that you're supposed to have under the bylaw for a restaurant. But it's not just people parking and leaving their car there and they're going to go walk downtown because they're staying at the inn like guests would. They're parking, they're coming and going, they're coming in, they're going to a bar for a drink and whatnot. So there's a lot more traffic, so to speak, in addition to the parking. And I think also when you have guests, you can educate your guests about where you're parking. You can assist them with their parking. A restaurant, people are showing up, whether reservation or not, and there's sort of a lack of control there. So again, I think our overall parking numbers, it's still non-conforming, but it's actually decreasing under the requirement because of the restaurant use being removed. And I think in parking, especially in Chatham, this location, people are going to park and they're going to walk downtown. They're going to go to the beach. So I don't think it has the same in and out feature as you would with a restaurant use.
Okay, one more comment on the parking, or question about the parking. Would there be, or has there been discussion or consideration to creating, in addition to the gentleman across the street on a contractual basis, but some type of valet situation, should you find you needed that in the future, where the parking, for whatever reason, across the street was not available or was more limited than what you were expecting. So then it would be locating parking somewhere else in town, locked down by the owners in some contractual way, and then providing a valet service, if needed during the peak of the.
My client indicates he'd be certainly willing to engage
So that's
valet service.
a possibility for parking, addressing parking. Is there no additional room on the property at all
For,
to add parking?
oh, come on, Chuck. You just gotta announce you. Sure.
Chuck Asher, 20 Indian Spring Road, Milton, Mass. Parking is a concern of ours, and I know that Jamie keeps mentioning it's going to actually go down by getting rid of the restaurant. And one other thing I want to say is for a restaurant of that size, there's also 6 or 7 employees that go along with it. So it's not just the per table, but it's also employees. But we feel, first of all, we'll be able to do something with I spoke with him this afternoon, the gentleman across the street. It's a huge lot that he has across the street, and it's basically empty. So if we do have a need, I'm sure we'll be able to work something out with him. If not, we would definitely welcome having a valet and working it out that way.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, thank you.
Steve?
You mentioned that what you're proposing in a new manager and staff quarters. Where are they housed now?
Currently, no one is staying on site.
Okay.
The manager lives in Chatham and drives to work. I believe there are 6 or 7 other employees, and they do not have vehicles.
So there is no management quarters there now, or
No one's staying
Staff.
for this
There's
season
no
right
staff.
now.
Okay.
Yep. The inn was closed when the Hajars purchased it, and then it was closed until a few weeks ago, and they've opened up about 25 rooms for the season.
okay. So those the staff quarters or offices are new to the inn.
There's an existing in the basement that was
Yeah.
used by prior owners. It's just for this season, they're not
It's
having
not
to
being
stay there.
used now. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Lee?
I think I'm okay for right now, no questions.
Okay. Dave?
I had just one other question I wanted to ask, and Sarah, you may know the answer to that. I think it's too close to, so you may or may not know the answer to this, but I'm thinking that that was the Harrison St. Pierre decision that changed how the town dealt with requests like this, that formerly the town might look at something like this as a special permit, allowed by special permit, but that decision kicked it over so that now a commercial use in a residential zone such as this, by adding something like this and extending the nonconformity, now needs a variance. Is that correct, Maya?
That is correct. Prior to the decision of the Harrison St. Pierre case in 2011, any commercial expansions were done by special permit. We were told we were doing it wrong. So now commercial expansions, if there's an intensification of a nonconformity, require both the grant of a variance as well as a special permit. So it's not just one application, it's twofold.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks.
Jamie, the clock on the wall tells me we're running out of time.
Okay.
I had hoped to at least have the members give just how they're feeling about this, that, and that thing, but we have to stop.
Okay.
So I would suggest you request a continuation to,
July 9th, our next meeting.
Next meeting, okay. I would ask for a continuance to your next meeting, please.
yeah, and to those here, unfortunately, the select board needs this room, which means we're out. And so it's very unfortunate, but that's the way it is. We don't have a choice. So I apologize that you'll have to come back.
So I will move to grant the request for the continuance for 26-042 and 26, should I do these separately, Sarah? or is it- Okay, for 26-042 to July 9th.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Beach votes yes.
Jeannie votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes, that's unanimous. Thank you, everybody, for today.
And so now I will move to grant the request to continue application number 26-043 to July 9th.
Okay.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Jeannie votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote
And Beach votes yes.
Okay. Okay, Dave, how about,
I will move to adjourn.
I'll second the motion, vote yes.
Beach votes yes.
Ed votes yes.
Jeannie votes yes.
I vote yes.
yes.
Oh, sorry.
And I vote yes. Okay. Thank you all. Happy July 4th.
It's
and see you
5:23
all.
PM.
Thank you, gentlemen.